Hey guys, I'm here. Just got back from seeing Morbius in theaters and want to give you guys my quick thoughts on the film. This film was directed by Daniel Espinosa, who I have not seen any of their previous work myself, but I am familiar with some of the titles, and I know that they're probably not that unfamiliar with mixed reception. And unfortunately, I think this is going to be another one of those cases. Especially the same for this writing duo who wrote this film, Matt Sazama and Burk Sharpless, who have worked together on many a film before. It's a little bit of a track record for these guys, though, with Dracula Untold, The Last Witch Hunter, Gods of Egypt, the Power Rangers 2017 movie, which that one I actually did enjoy, and now Morbius. This film continues Sony's trend with their Marvel characters to kind of make films that are a little out of date, where Let There Be Carnage felt more like an homage to the early 2000s era superhero films. This one feels like a film that just was written out of time, where it didn't really feel like an homage, but something that was just unable to evolve and adapt itself beyond those ideologies. The story itself follows Dr. Michael Morbius, who is played by Jared Leto, who is stricken at an early age with this debilitating disease that is threatening to take his life. Fighting it for all of his time as long as he can, he becomes a doctor and spends his life trying to cure this disease, pushing the boundaries of science, pushing the boundaries of ethics to the point where he thinks he creates a cure by blending human DNA with that of a vampire bat, resulting in a monstrosity that thirsts for blood. I'm not going to go into any of the other cast members as far as who they play because it does kind of hedge on spoiler territory, because of some of them I do think if I explained their character, you would already know where that character is going to end up later in the film. So I'm going to not do that because this film does not reinvent the wheel by any stretch of the imagination. It is horrifically predictable. Joining Jared Leto are Matt Smith, Adria Arjona, Jared Harris, Al Madrigal, and Tyrese Gibson. Matt Smith at least seems like he's having a ball in this role and in this film, and he's definitely one of the most enjoyable people to watch because I adore Matt Smith. I love everything that he's in, at least that he has a hand in, I'll say. I like seeing him pop up in things, even if the thing that he's in isn't that great. I always enjoy seeing him, coming back to one of my favorite doctors over on Doctor Who. It's really enjoyable seeing him kind of get into some other roles that are a little more outside of his wheelhouse. So this one, though, does summon a little bit of that repertoire, some of that air that he used to have even back then into a very different kind of vessel here. And it was really interesting seeing his dynamic with the rest of the cast. Everybody in this, I think, does a really solid job. Jared Leto, I think, does a really good job with the material he's given. Like I said before, the material itself is not that great. I think the most gripping elements of it come within the first third of the film, and then the middle to the third act, it just feels like a little bit of a slog for me. The CGI sequences that they go into have an interesting art direction, but again, feels dated in a lot of the ways that it looks. A lot of the facial contortion that we see glimpses of in the trailer, where the vampire kind of comes out of Morbius here and there, looks like a bad face filter in the film itself. And a lot of the other characters, the side characters, feel very inconsequential to the plot itself. Oddly enough, the trailer itself has more of a story than the film ends up having. Kind of dropping all of the moral questions and quandaries around creating this cure, and at what point is the cure worth the cost, or what happens when the cure is more monstrous than the disease it's meant to fight. All that's dropped in the movie itself. And a lot of the elements that I'm sure a lot of people are probably the most interested in from the trailers, and we're no strangers to digital trickery here today, us Marvel fans. But yeah, a lot was done in those trailers. I think a lot of what was most talked about in the trailers are completely absent in the movie. Altered or removed altogether, scenes not in there, and what we do get is way more confusing than what we had in there. Raises way more questions. Definitely leaves me really confused as to what Sony wants to do. The action in the film is decent when you can actually see it. We talked about in the trailers how I thought the art direction and the stylization of like that Banff effect whenever his powers are activated and he's flying around and attacking people, he leaves those streaks around. That's never explained as to why that's happening, or if that's something just for us in the art department, or if that's actually what happens when he's doing things, or if it's a visualization of another one of his powers. It's very vague. But like, it gets extremely excessive to a point where in a lot of the fight scenes, you can't really see anything because it's obstructing it all. And it's really hard to tell what's going on, especially given the dark color grading of the film. Most of these scenes are already steeped in darkness, so seeing that and obscuring a lot of the action with that causes a lot of problems on top of some kind of janky CGI elements throughout the film. There's some really weird turns that the story takes. The entire third act, I was just scratching my head the whole time, laughing when I probably wasn't supposed to be. There's a lot of unintentional humor in this film that I think honestly was more funny than any of the intentional jokes. On top of that, it's got the two most jankiest, like nonsensical post-credit scenes that I've seen in a really long time, and it doesn't make any sense. At the end of the day, I think this movie's just a mess. It's not one of their best works of art, I'll say that. I did enjoy the film, though more at the film's expense rather than enjoying the film for what it was trying to do. Like, there's some elements in here, like I said, that do work. I think the actors are doing fine. But it's just like, this is a tale that it just didn't really have anything to say. It didn't really have anything to do. Guys, I can't really talk more about this movie without just going into full-blown spoilers, so I'm gonna go ahead and pass this off to you guys. Have you seen Morbius yet? What did you think? Did you enjoy it? Were you confused? Let me know down in the comments below. We'll carry on the conversation after the video. Feel free to join our Discord. We could talk about it there as well. Links to that and all my socials in the description box below. Before we go, I want to shout out our channel legends, Mandy Sherritt, Ryan Karen, Philly Vane, Yori Corey Scott, Margaret Grace, Mary Bradley, Nate Prouty, and Melita. Thank you guys, as always, for your continued support. But that's it for this one, guys, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everybody.